Everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about freedom and chronic illness. So obviously this is one of the biggest drawbacks to being chronically ill, and probably the thing that is the most depressing is how our freedom has been taken away from us. But I do think that there are a lot of misconceptions, especially when people, especially those of us that are still mobile. I think most non chronically ill people think of chronic illness as like you're bedridden, you're bedbound, you're homebound, you can't drive, you can't move. And while that is true for many chronically ill people, it isn't for probably most of us. Many of us can still drive. Many of us can still, wash dishes, move around. Um, this concept of freedom is so much more detailed than what people know. And so I wanted to sort of talk about my own experience with this because I am one of those chronically ill people that can still move around. I still drive. Many of you know I'm really into thrifting. I go out to swap meets, which requires a lot of walking. And I tend to do okay. I mean, I probably shouldn't do it all the time, but I still am able to do those things. And that gives people a sort of like very suspicious vibe when it comes to chronic illness. They're like, why you can still do stuff? How is it that you're sick? Um, or how is it that you've lost your freedom if you can still go out, go shopping and that kind of thing? So I kind of wanted to talk about my own experience with this loss of freedom and what that's been like for me, because there are also other chronically ill people out there who are bedbound and who are homebound, and they're probably looking at me like, how could you possibly be chronically ill? You can still do all of these things. You're still making videos on YouTube. You're still, talking and all that kind of, that kind of thing. And there are levels to it. There are different severity of illness, but it's different for everyone. So I wanted to talk about my experience, and what my loss of freedom has looked like. So one of the things that I use every day is oxygen. So I have an oxygen concentrator, which is a machine that produces oxygen, and I wear a nasal cannula. And it does help me, which is why I wear it every day. It is a help. I'm supposed to wear it about 8 to 12 hours a day. I probably average about 6. And you can't really freely move around. I mean, I have a very, very long tubing, but you can't just move around, especially when you live with other people. So I'm basically in my room all day long. I'm in my room. I might go out to the dining room. I do my stretches, and I like to have my oxygen on when I do any kind of exercise. But obviously, if I go out for my walk, I have to take it off. And then, of course, when I take it off, then I feel a little bit more tired. So, it's almost like being on a leash every day. And, on the weekends, I sometimes give myself time off of the oxygen, which obviously there are consequences to that. I'm going to feel more tired and more run down. But, it's just being tied up. It's like being on a leash. You can't go too far. You can't just do everything. It's just me being in my room. But it's something that does help me, so I try to be as consistent as I can with it. Showering is another one. And for those of you that don't know, I did go through Lyme disease treatment many years ago. So you might see I have a scar here on my chest. I had a line put in, a Hickman catheter where medication would go in through. And I had it for 2 years. And during that time, I could not take a full body shower. So when I went into the shower, I had to make sure that I didn't get this area wet. So basically from the chest up, I had to make sure to try to keep it dry. So I was only able to sort of bathe, from, below the chest down. And then everything from the chest up had to be cleaned separately. And my hair had to be washed like in the sink or that kind of thing. I can't tell you how horrible that was for 2 years. I enjoy taking very hot showers. I cannot tell you that when I had my catheter taken out, I think it was like I had to wait 2 weeks or something for everything to heal up, like 2 or 3 weeks. That first shower um, was the most incredible thing. It was the best thing I had ever felt like in my life. It felt so good to be able to just take a full body shower. And these are things that you just take for granted. You know, I don't know, because I was always able to take a full body shower, and for 2 years I just wasn't able to. And then, I spent a few years, just, off of any kind of medication. And as you know, I'm back on medication. I started IVIG about 3 years ago, and now I'm injecting it subcutaneously. And again, I have to be back on a different schedule of showering. Granted, I can take full body showers, but because my skin is very sensitive and I'm putting needles in my skin weekly, several needles, I have to be really careful. So the day that I do an infusion, I don't shower. And then I think 2 days after, or one day after. So if I infuse on Sunday, I don't shower that day. I don't shower on Monday, because I take hot showers. It dries out my skin, and I'm trying to avoid over stressing my skin, because I don't want to end up having an allergic reaction or increased sensitivity. As you know, I'm sensitive to everything. My skin has been, one of the most sensitive parts of my body. Well, my external body, obviously. I have sensitivities all over my face, my body, everywhere. And so I have to be very careful, because I have to continue taking my medication. And if I end up having an allergic reaction or some kind of contact dermatitis, it may make it more difficult and more complicated for me to inject medication that I need to take. So now it's like I have to be very careful. I don't want to take a shower on the same day, and I want to give my skin time to heal, for the little holes to kind of heal up a little bit, before I take a shower. So I can't just take a shower whenever. It's like I have to be on this schedule where I have to kind of tiptoe around, my skin. And that leads me to the next issue, is that I can't just put anything on my skin. I watch a lot of beauty bloggers, and it's funny because some of them will say like, "Oh, I have very sensitive skin," and then they'll put everything on their face and their body, and I'm just like, you guys have no idea. I did do a video about the makeup that I use, and it does seem like a lot of makeup, but it's really, really not anything compared to a lot of these beauty bloggers. I can only wear like one foundation, like maybe one or two foundations that don't irritate my skin, that don't cause any bad sensation. If I want to try new makeup, it's at my own risk, because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to have a reaction. As a matter of fact, today I tried a mascara that technically wasn't even new. It's the same brand as my other mascaras, the same formula, but for whatever reason, it irritated my eyes. I'm still dealing with the eye irritation. But it's like the same exact mascara that I had before. I think it's just like the brush is different or something. And so again, I can't just go into a store and buy whatever. And it's the same with food. I can't just eat whatever I want. I have like 10 things that I can eat. I can't go out to eat anymore. I mean, technically, I could go out to eat. But again, there are so many hurdles that I would have to research the place beforehand, make sure they have something that I could eat, which most likely would be like maybe a salad or something. And on top of that, to add another complicating factor, I have to make sure I know where the bathrooms are, because I go to the bathroom a lot, and that they're accessible, that I can, go in and out, that it's not like a super crowded restaurant where there's going to be lines out the door. So all of these things I have to think of in advance. So I just typically avoid restaurants. I haven't eaten out at a restaurant in who knows how long. So all of those things I have to take into consideration. A lot of people don't think of those things. There are also even other more personal things. I guess I'll mention one. It's gross, but at the same time, it's something that has, you know, I feel like it's almost ruled my life at this point, and that's going to the bathroom, having a bowel movement. Obviously, I pee a lot, so anywhere that I go, I have to know where there's a toilet. But in the morning is the only time that I actually have a bowel movement. If I don't go in the morning, I will not go, and that is just, it's a horrible feeling all day long. And so I have to schedule all my doctor's appointments, even my counseling appointment, which is from home. I have to schedule them around the bowel movement, which is horrible. But if I don't go, it's just going to be, my entire day is just ruined. Um, and that's actually something that has been an issue for me for a really long time, even when I was still working, and I haven't been working for almost 10 years. And I remember having to get up really early. That's another thing too, is that the earlier I get up, the more difficult it is for me to go to the bathroom. So I don't know what that's about, but I would have to get up. I had to be at the school at like 7:30. Sometimes I would barely make it by 8, but 7:30 is the time I was supposed to get there at. Um, and so I would have to wake up at like 7 and be ready by like 7:30, leave the house at 7:30, and hopefully get there 15 minutes early. And I would notice I had a lot of issues going to the bathroom, and sometimes I just wouldn't. Sometimes I wouldn't pass very much, and it was just discomfort for the rest of the day. And obviously over time, I realized I have an illness. I have muscle issues. I have, digestive problems. I probably have issues. What is it called? Like when you're in a lack of mobility in the intestines and the stomach. So all of those things, these are things that people don't think about. We think about somebody who's bedridden. We think about somebody who has joint pain, or fatigue, like really severe fatigue. And obviously those things limit your freedom, but I've never had severe fatigue. I've never had severe ongoing pain. I've had severe pain, but I've never had severe ongoing, constant pain. And my life has still been very, very limited. And I have to consider all of these factors before going out, before engaging in any kind of activity, even before going to the doctors. Like I schedule my appointments at a certain time so that I can go to the restroom, so that I'm not waking up super early. I do wake up early. Often I wake up at like 6:30 or 7:30 in the morning, but I don't get out of bed until like 8:30. That was something my doctor told me. She said, don't get out of bed. If you're still tired, do not get out of bed. Stay in bed. So all of those things have to be considered. Menstrual cycle issues. I've talked about how I've had severe, blackout level pain. So I have to make sure that nothing is scheduled during at least the first 2 days of my menstrual cycle. And if you're irregular, that can be a challenge. But I have to just make sure that I'm totally homebound those first 2 days, because I need to be next to a bottle of Advil at all times, and by a bathroom, in my room with my hot pack. These things just really impact your life. Even if you're still able to drive, even if you're still able to, do your own grocery shopping, that kind of thing. You still have to consider, what if I need to go to the bathroom? What if if you're somebody that has chronic diarrhea, which a lot of us do have that, then it's like, I need to make sure that I know where there's a bathroom, because if I have an attack, I need to get to the bathroom quickly. But even small things like, the showering thing, these are things that are, a warm shower is just one of those comfort things. And it's horrible for my skin. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not supposed to be taking hot showers, but it is one of the few pleasures that I have left in my life. And the fact that I couldn't do it for 2 years, and the fact that I still have to, tiptoe around it. Actually, for the last couple of weeks, I've been off of my IVIG. So I've been taking showers whenever I want. It feels, even that small change feels so freeing and so, I don't have to think like, oh, my infusion is on Sunday, so I have to take a shower on Saturday and I can't shower until Tuesday. Like, I'm just like, whatever, I can shower whenever I want right now. Like, if I want to take 2 showers in a row, if I want to, just whenever I feel like it, whenever I feel gross, I can just jump into the shower. Because there's times where I feel like greasy and nasty, but it's like, I need to leave my skin alone. I need to give my skin a break because I don't want to stress it to the point where then I start having reactions, because I need my skin. My skin needs to be in good shape because I administer medication through my skin. So, it's a constant, and these are a few things. I mean, there are other things that consume my day. My having to do my stretches. If I skip even 1 week of stretches, I automatically feel stiffer. I do acupuncture treatments, at home, acupuncture treatments, and if I stop doing those, then for whatever reason, I feel worse. So it's just a constant going and going and going, and people don't see that. People don't see that this is a full-time job. Even if you're not bedbound, even if you are still mobile, it is a full-time job, and you're constantly having to manage it and do all of these things and consider everything. My parents, and I've talked about them in the past, but one thing that's kind of bugged them for whatever reason is the fact that I don't go on vacation with them. Not that I would want to. They're kind of difficult to deal with, but they've gone on vacations that are actually not too far from here. They've gone to like Rosarito, and they've gotten like an Airbnb, and obviously it's nice because they have their own kitchen and that kind of thing, and it's right by the beach. But I wouldn't go with them. And she would tell me, she's like, you've got an entire kitchen, you can cook your food just like you do here, and it's just the thought of planning, just the thought of packing my supplements. That's another one, having daily supplements that I have to organize every couple of weeks and I have to take every day. Just the thought and the energy of all of the things that I have to pack, and having to be very careful, not to eat the wrong thing, or not to, not to do the wrong thing on a vacation, because then if I end up getting sick out there, I'm somewhere else. I don't know where the doctor is over there. So it becomes just an extra burden. So I just tell them, like, no, just go on vacation. Don't worry about me. It's not a big deal. Like, I don't miss vacation, to be quite honest. My best vacations are when I'm here by myself at the house. I don't have to worry about anything. But they're planning, they just went on a short, trip to Arizona. They're going to be going on a longer trip, to Mexico. And right away, they're just like, you should go with us. And it's like, how do you think that I'm going to go to another country? I don't even go out to eat because it's such a taxing thing to do. It's just so difficult to do all the planning that goes into that just for a simple meal, 10 minutes down the street. Doing an entire international trip, for a month. I mean, and I've seen people do it. I have seen other chronically ill people. I used to watch somebody on here on YouTube that she would take trips, and I mean, just the logistics, all the stuff that she would pack, because she was doing infusions. She would do infusions every day for like pots or something. And I was just like, that really takes a lot of resiliency. It takes a lot of organization, and just a lot of commitment. And I am, despite not having severe fatigue, I still get tired, and it's just so much planning and so much to consider, that, it's just not even worth it. Even, I was thinking of getting stem cells in Mexico, and even that, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I mean, it is doable. It's doable, but just the logistics that would go into it, and then also getting to a clinic and having to be accommodated, and finding, lodging or an Airbnb or whatever, and having to accommodate myself and figure things out. It was just, I would rather pay more and have treatment done here in the US than pay less and have the same thing done in another country, because it's just easier. And these are the things that that people don't see in those of us that have an invisible illness. That's why they call it an invisible illness, because you don't see those. These are things that are day to day. And, I've actually considered, and I may actually do this sometime soon, is going through my day to day. I have done a video on my daily schedule. I did that during the pandemic, I believe, but showing all of the things, actually showing them on camera, showing my oxygen concentrator, showing all the supplements, showing the food, and all the energy that goes into that, because people don't see that. People don't see how all consuming it becomes. It's 24/7. Being chronically ill is a 24/7 job. But anyways, this video has gone on too long. Leave me your own experiences with your loss of freedom down in the comments. Something that no one would typically think of when it comes to losing your freedom. Smaller things that, things that only you know about, that other people, that most anyone else is not going to see. Because those are the things that impact us the most. So leave that down in the comments, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.